Okay guys, in the last video, if you watched it, you might have seen my mess on the floor and that I had the baby Pac-Man out. Now I already pulled the Dash 35 board out, but the video board works because there's a switch you can press down. I believe it's right here on top of the video board. And if I press that button, I can actually see a picture on the monitor. Okay. But the way Baby Pac-Man works is the NPU board, which I took out right here, and the video board down here have to work together for the game to actually finish booting. And I only was and now if you don't know much about bally-133 boards, when it first boots up, you have to get 7 flashes on the LED. And I'm only getting 5. So it's an obvious sign that I have a problem with this board that I just took out. So let me show you what I've come up with. I pulled up a website that explains what happens when the Dash 35 board tests each individual component on the board before it boots up. It does a self-test. And see if I can zoom in here. Now, 5th flash. If the fifth flash completes, then it tested U11, U10, and that's it. So one of the things on this board is here's some 6821s right here and right here. Oh, I'm sorry, right here and right here. And these are U12 and where is it? U10, I think it was. Anyways, I had brand new ones. Brand new out of the tube. So I replaced both of those, and I still have the exact same issue. So it says the next thing to test is, here's the 555. So I was digging around because I have brand new 555 somewhere. Can't find it. So I'm going to steal a 555 off this Taito board here. I really wish I knew where my brand new 555s are. So, but instead I'm going to put this ugly looking 555 on there and hope things go well. Okay, before I even attempt to replace this 555 here, I'm going to pull it off of this board. Hopefully it's good. But let me go ahead and desolder this. Okay. Let me get this little screwdriver. Pull it out. Okay. I'm going to use this, the chip tester. Now these leads are really nasty looking. I don't even know. My socket's getting funny. I've used this thing so much that the socket's starting to get kind of funny, but let's see if these leads are clean enough to even test it. But what I like to do is I turn it on and it'll say self-check pass. You don't have to, but I do that every time just because. But let's stick it in here and let's see if it works. NE555. See that? So that's telling me that it knows what chip it is, so it's a good chip. Okay, so that's good. That's one worry out of my mind. At least I know the chip I'm going to put in. Ah! I dropped it and it fell inside my shoe. Oh! Okay, got it. So at least I know that this chip is good before I start swapping chips around. And I don't have the right socket again, so I'm probably going to get a regular socket and chop it down. You know. Okay, so let's pull it off of this board. That's U12. This board's much cleaner, so I can do it a lot faster. Okay, so now that is desoldered. You can kind of see those holes. So I'm gonna gently try to rock this out without breaking anything else. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab the chip like this and give it a wiggle. Oh, got it. Jeez. Okay. I didn't really mean to. I didn't want to, but I scratched it. But it's just on the solder mask, so it's okay. But damn, I hate scratching boards. But okay. So now, let's see if I'm lucky and if this will just clip. I need 4 pins on each side. And I broke it. I'm gonna look for a better socket. This socket's no good. I want one that'll clip a little easier. I just grabbed the other side and I clipped it a little better. Okay, I got 4 pins on each side. Just gonna drop that right in there. As long as all my pins are straight. There we go. And I'm gonna bend these tabs over. This one on this corner, and this one on this corner. So it'll hold itself in when I put the board upside down. See, if I didn't bend those, I'd flip it upside down and it would just fall right out. So go ahead and solder this in. My tip's kind of dirty. This soldering iron is beyond its useful life. This tip is shot. Okay. So there's my solder job there. Looks good. And before I stick this 555 in, I'm going to clean these pins a little bit. They look kind of bad. I'd rather stick it in with nice clean pins. You know what? I'm just going to stick it in. The pins are kind of clean where it counts. So I'll stick it in. Okay. Oh, also, whenever you remove a chip, make sure you know the orientation of the chip. In other words, chips on your circuit boards are going to have a notch on one side. And usually, not all the times, but usually every single chip across the whole board will have a notch all the notches will be pointing the same direction. But there is exceptions to that. Sometimes chips are sideways and whatever. Sometimes there's one chip on the board it's opposite from all the rest. So make sure you pay attention to the orientation of the chip when you take it off. So on this, I have a dot. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but there's a dot in this corner right here. And that denotes pin 1. And pin 1 is the side of the chip that's always going to have the notch. So since the notch is on this side of the chip, I'm gonna put it right here where it's supposed to be. Okay. Now we got a new or a used NE555 timer. Okay, so let's plug this sucker in and hope for the best. Well, I tested it again and still 5 flashes. So I looked at a different website. I still haven't even got a probe on this board. I just assumed that this would be it's such a simple board, you know. Anyways, I assumed it would be documented pretty well, and it is. But one of the websites I was on said to check C17 and C16. So this guy and this guy. And so I looked at those two capacitors in the schematic, and it's very important to keep this 555 pulsing. See that? 0.1 microfarad and 0.01 microfarad are these two caps. So I know the values, and I'm going to go ahead and remove one lead on each side, and I'm going to test it. So first things first, let's pull one lead out of C16. I'm just going to go ahead and grab it from the top. Let me go from the bottom. Let me zoom out. Okay, now I got one out. Probably should have used the desoldering iron, huh? But oh well. Okay, so I'm going to get my meter. I'm going to set it to capacitor test. And see if I can zoom out some more. I'm going to test this side and this side. And we have let's see here. So it wasn't set on capacitor. Okay, we have 105 nanofarad. Okay, that's fine. So let me pull the other capacitor. Okay, so I desoldered C17 here. I'm going to try to pull it up without hurting anything. Okay, we have that up. And just so it helps you guys understand, I set my range to microfarad now. Okay, what was it? Okay, in the schematic, it is 0.01 microfarad right there for C17. So let's see if we have 0.01 on the meter. Okay, we have 0.01. So it's not that suggestion that's online. Now let me replace this. Let me replace this capacitor real quick. You know, it just occurred to me that the legs on that 555 were a little dirtier than I wanted. So I'm just going to test for continuity between the socket, through the socket, and into the board from the top of the chip. So I have a trick for this. First off, I'm going to grab my meter. I'm going to set it to continuity test. So if you listen, now I hear a beep whenever I have continuity, okay? Which means a direct short between the wires. And here's my trick. I'm going to get some aluminum foil. I do this a lot when I test sockets. Aluminum foil, I'm going to fold it up. I'm going to put one of my leads into the aluminum foil, like this. Now, this isn't that big of a deal with such a small chip, but if you have a 40-pin chip, it's kind of a pain in the ass to make sure you're lined up. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to touch this and short out all the pins on the bottom of that 555. So, all I have to do now is touch the tops of every one. My continuity, continuity, continuity. Okay, so what that did is, I don't know if I was in the camera or not. Okay, so what that did was, I just made sure I just checked my own work, you know. Okay, so it's not that. I'm gonna probe around. Now this had battery damage in the past, and I cleaned it up a little bit, and I put this CR2032 on it when I first got the machine. I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna check random leads. This actually isn't too bad, but I'm gonna go and check some random leads. Like, for example, let me zoom in. For example, this lead, I know this is fine, I mean, it doesn't look that bad, but just as an example, when the original battery, the alkaline, came out of the battery, what's the word? It's a strong base, and it corrodes. It's not, you know, battery damage isn't actually acid damage. It's actually a strong base that corrodes your copper away. But what happens is sometimes you'll get these black leads, and if you get your meter on continuity test, and you were to test from here, and you know that wire is supposed to go over here, right? Well, I'll just test it. Yes, I know it goes there. But let's see if I can find something really nasty. Okay, it's kind of nasty here. Okay, so move over here. We know there's a lead going here all the way across, right? So if I test it here, you know, over here, I have continuity. No, that's just an example of something you could do. I'm gonna shut the camera off. I'm just gonna go over all the little stuff. I'm gonna look underneath some sockets and things and see if I find any spots where sometimes, you know, there might be a bad spot from the acid damage. Although I'm kind of doubting this. I'm starting to get a little frustrated with this board. I tested it in the baby Pac-Man machine, and still doing the exact same thing. So, just as a shotgun attempt here, I have this 6800, and I happen to have brand new ones. So, I'm going to stick one of those on there. If anything, I'll have a bunch of brand new chips on here. Pull this guy off. Okay, this says 6800, and this says 68B00P. 6800P,
B00P. I don't know what the difference is between these two chips, but most likely it's a equivalent, but I don't know. I am 95% sure about this. Well, let's try it and see what happens.
There we go. So on free play. I'm gonna try to do this one-handed. One hand's just not good enough. But it's working. Hey, if you guys like what you see, if you guys like arcade stuff, please subscribe, or at least give me a thumbs up. It's real quick and easy to do. Just hit that button. But alright, have a nice day.